Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Eleni Bauer Luce podcast, Frenemies of the People. We're just so excited to be back together again today. We can't find Patrick. Eleni is out canvassing, but she's back at her desk. We don't know where Natalie is, so it's just the two of us. I guess our colleagues are in a secure location, and if there's ever a time, Eleni, to be in a secure location, it would be these days. Producer Grace is our producer. She's pressing the buttons. So let's just get to it. There's a lot to talk about. As my former colleague from when I was a young reporter, Bill Cameron, used to say, over here at City Hall, Mayor Brandon Johnson is facing fierce opposition from the business community, Eleni, because he introduced a $16.6 billion budget that includes nearly $500 million in new taxes, for most of which is a $21 per person head tax on employers and a 14% cloud tax that the Chicagoland Chamber has blasted. Mayor Johnson's senior advisor, Jason Lee, told Fran Spielman of the Sun-Times that the budget is simply an attempt by the city to shift Chicago's tech structure to match the existential threat of the digital economy. What do you think about that, Eleni?
I mean, I guess who's surprised at the end of the day? I think we've seen time and time again this tax mentality, not just from the city, but from the state, of just more and more taxes. And I think it would be great if at some point folks sat down and tried to find solutions that include, reforms and, savings, as opposed to just, okay, we have to find the money. As we joke, like looking in the couch cushions, we got to find the money to pay for this. And I think, none of what was proposed by the Johnson administration surprises me in any way. And I think we will continue to see pushback as it goes through the budget process moving forward.
I will say that it does seem to signal a consistent and strong message strategy by the Johnson administration. And in fact, in his interview with Fran Spielman, Jason Lee said that this is a big part of their push for the mayor's reelection. And even though he doesn't have much of it in his campaign coffers, he says money is not the only force in politics. And if we had any doubt over what the political direction of the Johnson reelection campaign would be, we only need to look to Stacy Davis Gates, who is the controversial Chicago Teachers Union president, who is now also president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers. And that includes being the president of the union of the teachers that represent Patrick's beloved community of Naperville. So that is an interesting turn of events. 125,000 educators outside of the city of Chicago. And when she won this opportunity just days ago, there was a touching moment where she said she thanked and noted that she is the granddaughter of sharecroppers. Her grandmothers were sharecroppers in Mississippi and Arkansas, and now she gets to lead the largest union of the AFL-CIO. But then there's the politics, quite articulate, boisterous, liberal, unapologetic, sort of like in the faculty lounge telling New York mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, hold my teacher's lounge beer. So the union was the top donor for Mayor Johnson. And She once called standardized testing junk science rooted in white supremacy. So I think the suburbs are going to get to learn more about Stacy Davis Gates, who's very talented, and maybe in terms of Springfield politics, Lenny, Governor Pritzker is going to get to know Stacy Davis Gates a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have seen a new era in the CTU ever since Stacy Davis Gates took over, and I think that will definitely spill over into her new role now as the head of the Illinois Federation of Teachers. I think, we've already seen her clashing with Governor Pritzker previously, and now the heat's just going to get turned up. And I would say that, I think that she's very aggressive and she doesn't accept an answer that she doesn't want. And in politics today, right, you have to be able to negotiate and compromise. And I don't think compromise is something that she prioritizes. And so it's just going to be interesting to see how much more complicated, not just things get with CTU and the CPS, but as you said, across the state. And, there's a demographic in Chicago and Cook County that is much different than the constituents in other parts of the state. And so it's going to be interesting to see how some of the folks in central and southern Illinois, assimilate to this new leadership in their school system.
NBC's Natasha Korecki, formerly of our Chicago Sun-Times, pointed out in an interview with Stacy Davis Gates that CTU just has 22% favorability, not much different than some of the polling we've seen for Mayor Johnson. And she pointed out, we're not a candidate, we're a labor union. So likability, favorability is not a priority. Solidarity is a priority. So she's quick with the soundbite. While
Yes.
compromise is important to getting things done in the legislative arena, to your point, but to win elections or win the internet, being polarizing is more important. And whether you're talking about our president of the United States or our president of the unions here in Illinois, they know how to get covered.
I think that's right. Guess we'll see where this shakes out.
There was a No Kings rally around the Chicagoland area last weekend, and I noticed in some coverage, including Black Enterprise News, that Mayor Johnson took this progressive budgeting and progressive governance message to the No Kings rally, which of course was a protest against President Trump. So the Black Enterprise News said Mayor Johnson made the, quote, bold call for people of all backgrounds to come together and take a stand against President Trump. But Johnson made the call during a powerful speech heard by thousands of rally participants in the Windy City, calling for, quote, if my ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra-rich and big corporations, we can do it too, as he met with thunderous applause. So that might be a slight revisionist history of the Civil War, but it certainly lays out a certain battle plan as we head into what is a constant political season, but the city and local political elections coming up.
Well, and I would just say the eat the rich language that is used and was used that day is just interesting since our governor is part of that class of eat the rich. And I'm sure, I know he was there. I'm sure he probably was on the stage as well at some point giving remarks, and just how that, shift in messaging between just in the party is going to start to cause a divide, I think, as to where people stand on that messaging.
Yeah, the Democrat Party can't seem to come together in one message to counter the the very strong message coming out of one very loud megaphone at the White House,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little bit in a state of construction right now, in case you didn't see. But we don't need to talk about that.
Nope.
Speaking of the ultra rich, Patrick has joined. Patrick, more bad news for local news. 136 newspapers in the United States have closed in the past year, according to Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern University. Daily newspaper circulation is down to a fraction of what it was 20 years ago. And the number of jobs is down by a staggering amount from 365,000 journalists in 2005 to 91,000. So I will just say that we've started supporting Press Forward, which is a group that Chicago Community Trust and other civic leaders have started to support in order to provide grants to local journalists. Without local journalists, we'd just be up here doing puppetry. In fact, that may be something that Eleni wants to do anyway. That is a little side hustle of hers.
Add it to the
Uh,
list.
Naperville Sun used to be a big newspaper, Patrick, and now it's sort of a subsidiary filler of Chicago Tribune.
On GLPs, it's slimmed down. Not as many pages of news these days. But yeah, Dennis, it's something, and Eleni, it's something we all talk about, which is critical to a business, right? This isn't just this esoteric conversation about the decline of local news. It's getting incredibly difficult to get your message out, or to get your perspective out, or to say, here is this proposal. Let's all agree on the facts of a proposal pending in town before here's the opponent that says it's this and the company says it's that, and these gathering points of common knowledge or common understanding are getting lost, and that's what's getting lost as these local outlets close. And then on top of which, I think a lot of people are just surprised. We were talking about this for a different project. How many people attend this local government meeting? It's like zero. It's like, who's paying attention? What's going on? Any of this, and that was an incredibly valuable service local journalists provide, and it takes initiative and it takes time to do it. And we all are better off when we're informed about what's going on locally from a shared information perspective.
Well, I have a polarizing, controversial issue to bring up with you colleagues. Where to find the best tavern-style pizza in Chicago? So, the Sun-Times and WBEZ have reported that Grand Avenue, Chicago's near north, going to out to the west side, is now the headquarters of the home of the best tavern pizza. Of course, tavern pizza is thin crust. That's the real Chicago pizza. The national comedians like to talk about deep dish, which, we all love a good deep dish, but tavern style thin crust pizza was really the first Chicago pizza. And it's cut in squares. It's not cut in slices like over there in New York. So they highlighted a number of places where you can get great tavern style pizza on Grand Avenue. They mentioned D'Amato's Bakery. I didn't know they served pizza at D'Amato's Bakery. That shows you how much I get out. Bari Italian Subs.
Mm-hmm.
Salerno's, which started in the suburbs, but people really look to as Grand Avenue, which is a great spot. Coal Fire Pizza. Professor Pizza Slice and Pie. And a 6-month-old place called Zarella Pizzeria and Taverna. And by the way, they're all free to sponsor us or to, in lieu of sponsorship, send pizzas to our little show so that we can sample it ourselves. But anyway, these all sound great. They kind of make my mouth water. They are definitely making a stand for the tavern pizza mile of Grand Avenue. But Eleni, where's Dino's?
I mean, Barstool, Dave Portnoy was just here a couple months ago, 7.4. It's pretty good for Dino's Pizza on the Northwest Side. And you know what? He said they were the nicest people that he's ever come across. Well, that's probably an exaggeration, but he said they were the nicest people in there, which is to say I was just there on Friday night. I'm there every Friday night with or without kids, burning the place down. That if you want some good pizza, Dino's on the Northwest Side is where it's at.
Now, Lenny, do you sit in the old mini dining room or are you in the banquet side?
Always the old mini dining room.
Oh.
We do not do the main dining room, mainly because there's an acoustics thing in there. If there's too many people in there, it actually is a little hard to hear the people that you're sitting at the table with. And also, when you have children, the booth seating is ideal.
You can keep them pinned down.
Keep them contained. But their patio is fantastic. And now that we've been enjoying these late weather days, nice weather days, we've been sitting out there a lot.
Patrick, do you have any position on tavern style pizza? Or are you too shushy?
I know better than to argue with the queen. So I am going to defer my vote to Dino's. I'll note I've never been invited. Apparently, Eleni has a standing dinner reservation, and I'm clearly not invited. But that's okay. And one time I'll make my way out there.
You obviously go
I
ahead.
don't know if Patrick's gonna fit in with the Dino's crowd.
He's not on the A list yet. That's clear. So I think it's time, Producer Grace, for Sounds Terrible. Can't wait. Sounds terrible, and I can kind of kick it off and get things going here. So I think my algorithms are terrible because nationally we know Chicago's having a tough time. The president and many of his cabinet members are really kicking the heck out of the city of Chicago. And only we should be the ones to be able to make fun of Chicago. Right here, we're here, we're eating the tavern style pizza, and we are dealing with the drama of living in the big city, the big windy city. But we should get first dibs on criticizing our city, and you outsiders over there should just keep it to yourselves. So, for example, even Apple News is on the case. They keep reminding me that Chicago is #1 for bed bugs. I think we talked about that earlier this year. That report came out in June. Algorithms, you're terrible. Go away. But let me just cue this up for you two to respond to. Condé Nast, the big, well-known magazine chain, which has a lot of travel magazine, and Condé Nast Traveler readers did their annual Reader's Choice Award. 750,000 travelers from around the world cast their votes, and Chicago was the nation's best big city, according to voters. Now, did we stuff the ballot box? God, I hope so, because then we'd be #1 in something, which is cheating, and cheating for a good cause, to promote our city. Come to our city. Come to Dino's Pizza and look for Eleni. And maybe she'll be getting us a sponsorship. So go to Dino's on Higgins, go to the Bean, go to Navy Pier, go to Wrigley Field, go to the wherever the White Sox play, go see a Bears game. Come to Chicago.
If you go to the Bean, be sure to check on the guy in the Bean to make sure he's doing okay. Everyone's worried.
I forgot about the guy in the Bean. Anyway, what's terrible with you all, Patrick? You got anything terrible?
I'm gonna chance things again. I don't want to jinx myself, but I have to fly again during this government shutdown, and I am just hoping that the air traffic controllers are being paid, being fed, and that the flights can mostly stay on time. And in all seriousness, though, the ongoing shutdown is kind of terrible, and it just reminds me of what happened to Illinois with it, like government on sort. It's kind of open, it's kind of closed. We're not sure. It's not nothing good is happening, and both sides need to knock it off. And there are a lot of workers who just do their job all the time, and it's not fair to figure out am I getting paid or not. That's a terrible situation.
Yeah, Roger, Roger. We do not want to think about the controllers not being in their control position. Eleni, what's more terrible than all of that?
So we all know that one of our previous governors, George Ryan, recently passed away. And it's been brought to my attention that there's an estate sale going on for some of his items that were likely found in his basement. So I'm going to go with the sounds terrible would be the thinking about somebody having to sift through all of those lovely items and trying to find a new home for them.
I wonder if
Is it possible Paul Powell's shoebox could in fact be in George Ryan's basement in the? I got an estate sale guy. I might, Eleni, if you get the deets on this, I might send a secret shopper.
just drive down I-57, Patrick, down to Kankakee. So you can get in on the action. There's got to be some good stuff there. Well, if it's terrible, if it's more terrible than sifting through a basement in Kankakee or my algorithms or government shutdowns and the air traffic controllers, the one thing that could be more terrible is CBL's Frenemies of the People. But we're glad to share the terribleness with you. For Patrick, for Eleni, for producer Grace, we thank you for viewing, and we'll see you soon.